Hey, welcome to Sessions. McKenzie and I here together in person today. We're doing one of our sessions on hot takes, and usually we play a little clip or something and get the other person's reaction to it. But we've actually been talking about something, and so we were like, "Hold up, let's just turn it into a hot takes and have this conversation with you because we would love to get your thoughts on this as well." But it's kind of a trend that we're seeing. Set it up for us, McKenzie.
Well, we were, so traditionally with hot takes, Benj will bring some clip or some quote or something that I have no idea what he's gonna show me. Same with me. I'm finding stuff on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever in a book I'm reading, and we bring each other something to react to. But while we were preparing for that, our producer for this session, she sent some clips to us, and they were all about this. It's a trend on TikTok. I might be the last person to know about it. I'm like an elder millennial, so is probably like 2 years old, but no, but really it's a trend that over the last year at least, it's, this idea of becoming too important at work. And so you see video after video of like young people in their 20s who are kind of lamenting the idea of like, gosh, I became too efficient, I became too productive, I became too reliable, and now I have too much responsibility. And of course, like it's TikTok, it's all positioned as this kind of like big joke. But we started talking about it because it's like, man, like it's kind of funny, but it because it I think we all relate to that time of life, but also it's like that feels like a problem that needs to be solved. And especially as we started looking at the comments, there's like on some of these videos, there's like 2,000 comments of people being like, "Oh my gosh, I have PTSD from my notifications on my calendar going off," or my team huddle going off all the time, or they're just like, "Yeah, I'm basically sandbagging. I'm not trying as hard as I used to because I'm don't wanna get more responsibility." And I think if you're running a business, like, this is a problem that you may be dealing with and you're already aware of it, or you're not aware of it, and it's something that we need to talk about. And especially if you're one of these people in your 20s, I think it's fun to be part of a trend, whatever, but, like, this is an issue that can be addressed, something that we can deal with, and we have a couple of tips that we can share on how to do that well.
What do you think is the root of the problem that they're experiencing?
So, I think it's 2 things. 'Cause I think there's 2 responsible parties in this. I think there's the leaders of an organization, and I think there's that employee or that I shouldn't even say young person, I should just say that employee. So, with the leader, I think at the root of that, there's a lack of clarity going on. So, they are seeing someone who is invested and engaged and reliable, so they're like, "Absolutely, we have plenty to do here, like, let me give them more things," but they're not doing that in such a way that's really clear for the responsibilities of that person and what they've already been told that they are there to do. Likely, a lot of those things are not aligned with what that person is really, really great at. If I had to guess, like, we're not looking at that person's areas of genius or skill, they're just getting handed more and more things. And so I think there is a clarity and a communication issue there on the side of the leader. And the side of the employee, I think there's a self-advocacy piece that's missing. Like, they are sitting back, letting things happen to them, and kind of accepting the state of, well, I'm in my 20s or I'm early in my career. I don't really have the authority to change the story. But I think we often have more authority than we think we do. And so I think that's probably like, it's the dynamic that forms when both of those
Yeah.
things are out of sync.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, as you saw all those kinds of videos and you hear all this?
Well, I wondered if there was a third party at blame, which is the organization, and what if you have a somebody who's super important like that, right? Or all the work is flowing to them. Is it also a sign that there's underperformers on the team because everything's funneling this direction and not being spread out across other people? So that to me is a culture problem. It's a performance problem. We're not clear on our roles, our measurables, whatever it might be. But it does pain me for the sake of the person that figures out how to mail it in and check out, because
Yeah.
ultimately that's not going to play out in their favor. They're going to become well, one, they're either going to leave the organization,
Mhm.
which is a loss for the organization. If they quiet quit or resign, or I'm going to mail it in and not really live into my fullness, their their purpose
Yeah.
of contribution tied to their vocation is in trouble. And we know that when people don't find some purpose in their vocation and be able to leverage their skills, like their overall joy in life is going to plummet.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's really important if you are that person and you're like, I do mail it in. I sign in at 10 a.m. I leave at 3. um, and I think it's important to think about of the time, how much time you spend avoiding the work and the purpose that's potentially there for you. But I mean, I know everybody's heard this, like we spend what, like a third of our life at work?
Sure.
Um, are you really gonna spend it, half-hearted? And I think that that's a decision for everybody and how much they want their work to matter in the life that they have, but there's a lot of benefits to being able, and I'm not trying to promote that everybody should step in and take all this responsibility and be the most reliable person, like, I think you have to decide for yourself what you want that to look like, but I think for myself, I can say as someone who became an important person at work, um, over time, like, there's a lot of, fulfillment in being part of a greater mission. There's a lot of fulfillment in, especially for me, like, I love that I've gotten to a point where I get to contribute my ideas and I get to carry them out, and I have the ownership over that, and I think that's one thing that if you can do this well and you work inside of an organization that honors your contribution, you get to start being a decision maker, and that's a very fulfilling thing.
And one of those first decisions might be going to the boss and saying, "Hey, I can continue to take all this work or all these odds and ends, but I'm going to need some leverage to keep doing this." And
Yeah.
what is leverage? Well, I'm going to need to be able to delegate. I'm going to need some people. I'm going to need some resources. I'm going to need some tools, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And that's a way of elevating your own skill set. So it's not just more, but it's more and better, more and smarter, and more and growing for whatever's next for you in that season versus just piecing out and going to try the same thing somewhere else.
Yeah, piecing out, and or just, kind of bearing the burden.
Yeah.
And I've seen that. I've probably seen that just as much as I see the kinda quiet quitting thing. Is like, you just see people who are so defeated, they roll their eyes, they're like,
It's just how it is.
yeah, it's how it is, like, I don't have the authority, and we're gonna give you, like, a concept to think about this. If you're on We've talked about 3 variables. It's like, if you are the leader of someone, if you are this person, or maybe you're the head of the organization. So those are, like, the 3 things that I think we can talk about that maybe there's some doors here we can open.
Yeah.
Before we do that, though, I do wanna say, like, this is not a new problem.
Right.
This is not a problem for Gen Z. This is a problem for anyone who has ever been great in their job and then gets recognized for it and gets promoted. And I think everybody listening is probably nodding their head because anytime you do a great job, you show up well, and you are consistent and reliable, oftentimes that ends up earning you the responsibility of leading other people. So you go from being an individual contributor to a manager overnight, and very rarely, maybe never, I don't know, maybe there's someone out there, but very rarely do we get trained as soon as you become a people leader. It's like, "Oh my gosh, congratulations. You got a pay raise, maybe you got a bigger office," but, like, no one's like, "Also, and here is the manual for how to do this." So, I think we've talked about this before, like, the gap is what, like 12 or 15 years,
Right.
but when you get promoted from the time you get trained into leadership, and so that 12 to 15 years can be a long, long slog, to kind of navigate, and probably unnecessarily frustrating. So we see that, we've seen it, it's been true for a long time, and so we're doing a workshop series this fall through October through January to really write the playbook and hand it over, to leaders at any level. So if that's something you wanna be a part of, sign your team up, sign yourself up. We're gonna be getting stuff done. Like, this is not gonna be information and theory. This is like, you're gonna bring your piece of paper and we're gonna work on these problems and we're gonna answer your questions. So if that's something that's interesting to you, highly recommend joining us. Again, leaders at any level. And it's gonna help with some of this kind of, becoming too important at work and not really knowing what to do with that. So again, we talked about the organization as a place for improvement. We talked about the leaders as a place for improvement, and we talked about the employee as someone who who has some agency in this.
Yes.
And you as a coach speak to the organization piece and like how do you see they could easily address this? Maybe not easily, but
Yeah, it's not easily because what
Yeah.
we're talking about is all the the stuff that doesn't fit nicely into a job description, right? It's like nobody has on their job description to be in other departments' meetings and help them make sure that they're making the right decision, or have your own meetings or lead meetings, like respond to email. Some companies have done the research and their employees spend half of their time replying to and
Oh,
dealing with
yes.
email. So like, where's that on the job description? So a lot of this falls into the stuff that doesn't, it's not nicely organized. It falls through the cracks. So it is on a conversation between the employee and the manager to know, like,
Yeah.
how, from the manager's viewpoint, like, where are we spending time that we don't need to? From the employee's time, hey boss, here's the 5 things that I find myself doing. Little things. I've heard little things being in session rooms. It's like, could that meeting be every other week instead of every week?
Mm.
Yeah. I had one client, this is gonna make no sense, but they'd been they had moved all this technology online, but they still had all these clients that used blue forms. And they were like, what if we told our clients no more blue forms? Which was really, really scary to them because they had done it for 25 years, but they had zero pushback when they said no more blue forms, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that we're afraid to stop doing, um, every company I've worked in the last decade, we've had a rule of no internal email. Emails for external use. We have Slack, or some people have Teams, whatever, for internal use. Well, that's great because now I don't have to deal with this, and I have very little. Some roles within an organization don't have external emails because they're not dealing with customers or prospects or troubleshooting, whatever. So, how can we eliminate the noise? How can we eliminate the things that are falling through the cracks, taking time, that aren't well defined? And then, if you are becoming that important, then what help and resources do you need so you can, delegate some of the lower level work so that you are living into the importance of the value that you've created in that role?
It sounds like it honestly, like to simplify what you said, what I heard is having an open dialogue with lots of questions and the ability to ask them, like a total permission to ask whatever question and not feel like you're going to say the wrong thing. You're going to,
Yeah.
like, God forbid we question the length of the meeting or how the frequency, but like, I think that that is so pivotal to like, maybe it's being as obvious as giving the team the permission to be like, for the next quarter, I want to hear once a week from everybody what made the most noise in your week, what was the most sideways energy,
Yeah.
like what's one thing that you wish you could eliminate or that we could do faster? Like there's probably a handful of questions that are going to start unlocking some of that and creating that new pathway for the honesty and the surfacing of the reality.
What's going on inside of me is that all of this goes to, what are we doing to mature the business?
Mhm.
These are all questions of, how do we do the business better? How do we work on the business? And most people are heads down doing the business, doing the email, doing the thing, instead of asking the question, like,
Yeah.
do we have to do this? Is there a better way? Is there a faster way? Could somebody else do it? Could we offshore it? Could we automate it? Could we whatever?
Yeah.
And if we're going to build businesses, part of having a vision for the business is having a vision for how to improve certain things within. Like, we get to design this thing, and if we're not taking that agency over it to be the creator of the thing, then we all get demoralized because we all feel victims to the chaos that has
The
become.
machine.
You're right, yeah. So a lot, even that conversation, yes, you need safety and permission and creative problem solving, but we also just need like an awareness with a culture in the organization that says, we're creating this thing together.
Yeah.
We want it to be as efficient as possible. We want it to be as effective as possible. So how are we always continually trying to make that happen?
Yeah, and I think from what I've seen with teams, it's like you honestly just need to make the time to do that.
You have to make the time and space.
Like it's not going to present itself to just magically we're going to we have a spare 7 hours today. Like No, there's got to be intentional time for that. Maybe like at a workshop. I don't know, but
That's a good time, yeah. I mean, but that's exactly why you would do a workshop, is
yeah,
because you're going to commit and invest in improving the things that are already there, not just heads down grinding.
absolutely. It's all about working on the business. So the other kind of tool I have in mind is a simple acronym, and maybe it's a little cheesy, but you're going to remember it. So if you're a leader of people, or if you're someone who is being led, who is mailing it in, maybe, or you're getting a little bit frustrated with how much responsibility you've been given, this simple acronym to keep in mind is CAR. And so in at System and Soul, we say you need to drive your car. So it's a relationship between every leader and every direct report. And so the car is the thing that sits between the two of them. And what that means is clarity, autonomy, and results. So when we say clarity, we're talking about if I'm the leader, I'm thinking about my teammate. Have I given this person the clarity of what their mission is, where they need to be spending their time, what matters most in our organization, maybe even like what the budget is and who's on their team? Like, have I given them that clarity? The autonomy is really about have I given them enough clarity that they can have the autonomy? And am I being clear with them about the decision-making process and where they have decision rights? So we could do a whole episode on this one, but like there's a number of things, a number of steps that have to happen for someone to feel like they're not just having to go from 0 to 100 and figure something out on their own, which I think is part of that becoming too important at work piece. But it's like, I have been walked through this and exactly how you want it done, or I understand the ultimate goal, the outcome that we're looking for, and now I feel confident that I can take this over, or I've been given the resources to figure it out. So there is this sort of like spectrum of autonomy that we have to clarify for our teammates. And if you are a teammate and you're feeling the struggle with that, then you need to ask your leader for that clarity and that autonomy. So you need to go to them and feel the permission to say, hey, I don't have this. I'm missing this in some way. Can you sort this out for me? So with that clarity, you've got autonomy, and the last piece is results. So it's being really clear on how we measure our team members' results and helping them feel like they're winning. So if they understand, like, these are the metrics that are going to be measured at the end of the day, the quarter, the year, and this is going to help me know if I am on board, on track with um, what I need to be doing and how I'm performing. Then it gives so much dignity to that person to not only like be able to check the scoreboard and say, okay, cool, like I'm on track. I can show up with confidence, but it's also like they can start thinking about their job in terms of how they can affect those numbers and what leverage they have to improve the position that they hold. So, those 3 things: clarity, autonomy, results. It's a two-way conversation. So as a leader, if you aren't sure if your team members have that, you need to be asking yourself that question, sit down with them and clarify it. If you are being led by someone, you're like, "Man, I wish I had that." Well, don't sit back and wait for someone to come to you and make it happen. You've gotta go. I would highly encourage you, in the most respectful way possible, go to your leader and say, "Hey, these are some things that feel unclear to me, and I would really love to have these conversations so I can show up well." So, I think that's the surface of what I think can help this conversation. Anything else to add before you go?
You did a great job breaking that down. I think the thing that always convicts me is when I embrace that car analogy,
Yeah.
I realize that the reason that I have failed to hold people accountable is because I haven't given them the clarity that they've needed to be able to hold them accountable to the results.
Yeah.
Call that clarity guilt, right? So, like, if we can get clearer, the conversation around the results, and then it's a mutual thing. Like, oh, I wasn't clear on that result. Okay, well now you are, right? Like, so,
Yeah.
it's a never ending thing. I think just to wrap this topic, like, there's also this emotional component to this. Like, if you're that important person and you're frustrated, or you maybe you've even already quit, like, please, please, please don't. Like, we were created as humans to contribute, to create and contribute and create value. And the minute you turn that off, you are turning off your own life force and your ability to contribute to the world around you. Please don't do that. Please. I mean, this game is a game. where we're continually trying to elevate the value that we're creating for the world around us, not minimize it. So whether it takes a move, whether it takes a conversation, whether it takes just a re-engagement into your role right now, please, please, please don't check out on us.
Yeah. I'll do one more thing on that because I think there's a lot of people that quit and they're like, I'm going to go do my own thing. Well, just wait because there'll be people working for you at some point. If you do that, this will find you.
Yeah,
Let's
oh
go.
boy.
Guys, thanks for joining us. Again, if you want help with this kind of thing, if you're on either side of that table, you're the leader and you really need some help in getting your team organized, aligned, and clarity around their roles, you just need better systems inside of your business. Or if you're that team member that's like, I have been put in this position of responsibility, but I don't have the playbook or the tools. We got you. We're doing a workshop. We'd love for you to join us. Check out the details. Before we go, I want to thank Fist Bumps. So Fist Bumps and our producer Floor, who gave us this amazing idea. They help us put on a great show every week.
We're glad you're here. See you later.
Here, thanks, Floor. All right, have a good week, everybody.